All right. Good morning, guys. If you missed our little teaser video, I am Laura Hyatt. I'm not Jordan Freed. I am the new operations coach, and I'm excited to have everyone here. So we'll give everyone just a second to hop in. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to turn on your screen. I want to see your beautiful faces. So if you will turn the cameras on, you don't have to look like a supermodel, but it is great to see faces and kind of get some feedback as we're going through. So here we go. And my co-host today is Madison Peeler, which some of you may or may not know. Madison is our awesome director of growth. That is your title, correct?
Yes, that is.
Great.
If you've been to a My Free Life event recently, I have been there as well. So I travel with Jordan and bring My Free Life to all of the wonderful locations and get to do sales for his products. And so we are here today leading for Jordan, and we are really excited about what we're bringing you today. So,
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're going to dive in. Today is day one of a four-part Wellness Wednesday, all about intentional living. I'm going to highly encourage to make everyone in this class like let's chat, let's have a conversation. This is a little bit less of me teaching and a little bit more workshop style today. Okay, so cameras on, feel free to participate. Let's rock and roll. So I am a big believer in this quote that says, "Tomorrow is hoped for but never promised." Right? I am sure we've all lost someone a little too soon, right? Their time was cut a little too short because we only get the dash, y'all. We get the time between when we are born and when we die. And so we better live it well. And the point of this four-part series is to talk about the four fundamentals that I believe are key to an intentional life. And that is values, habits, experiences, and impact. Okay. So the values, we're going to get really clear on who you are. Because if you are not clear on who you are, you're going to be living someone else's life instead of yours. Okay. That's what we're going to deep dive today. Next week, we are talking about habits, making sure we're installing the right ones. Okay. Sometimes we fall into habits or fall into routines, or some of us might call them ruts. And we want to be intentional with the habits that we are choosing so that we are living the life that we intend to live. And then the third chapter in our story is going to be experiences. We're going to lean into experiences because, listen, money can buy you a lot of things, right? But experiences make the world go round. And so I've got some tools and tricks and things that we're going to share with you to how to do that, both on a small micro level and on a big level as well. And then our fourth chapter is all about impact. What's the purpose in life if we don't pay it forward? Okay. So today we're going to deep dive into values. It's a tactical workshop, so get ready to get your pens out because we're gonna go for it. There's a quote by Gandhi that I want us to listen to. It says, "Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny." So if we are not clear on the values that matter to us as individuals, what kind of destiny are we going to have? Right? So today Madison and I are co-hosting. So I'm going to kick it over to Madison, and we've got some activity for you. We're going to work our way through determining your core values. Some of you might already know them. Some of you might have done this before. That's okay. Lean in. In the chat, we've just put a link to the worksheet that we're going to be going through. So feel free to click on that, and Madison's going to take it away.
awesome. So I wanted to share a story that happened recently with our team, and it really highlights why understanding your values and understanding the values of the people that are important to you are so critical. So a couple of weeks ago, Jordan had a big trip planned with his family, and he was taking his girls to Disney World. And on that day lied another class that he was supposed to be teaching, and there were so many people RSVP'd to it. And he was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And he stopped And he was like, I gotta postpone the class. I gotta postpone this class. I know I'm gonna disappoint a lot of people. And we were able to, as a team, rally around him because we understand his values. And I sent him a text and I said, you know what, Jordan, I'm really, really glad your values are clear. And that allows us to bond as a team together. It also allows us to push each other towards our values and towards what we really want. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to walk you through. If you have access to a printer, grab that worksheet and go ahead and print it. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to put it all on the screen for you guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by identifying our values. And Jordan has come up with this great worksheet, which I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody kind of, is this big enough? Can everyone see it? Okay, so right here we have a list of words. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just a list that we came up with. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go through, we are going to circle all the ones that really mean something to us. If it doesn't mean anything, doesn't ring a bell, just, scratch through it. And the first time around, you're probably going to have about 10 to 15 words. So that's great, no big deal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go around with a second time, and we're going to start combining those words. For example, if you circled the word connection and you also circled the word community, those words could mean very similar to you. So you're going to combine those words into a connection, and we'll define them later. So what we're going to do is we're going to narrow these down to about 3 to 5. Now, if you have 7, that's okay. Whatever becomes a strong core values list for you. And we're going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. Sound good? Cool. And then we're going to share afterwards. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and let's discuss. Does anyone want to share a couple of their values that they came up with?
We'd love to hear from you. And if you're in a place where you cannot turn your camera on, feel free to type them in the chat, because what your values are might be the name that someone else was looking for.
Laura, what are your values?
Yeah, so my top values are impact,
Mine
growth,
too.
yeah, growth, adventure, authenticity. Those are my top 4. What about you?
Yeah, mine are joy, connection, impact, family, and adventure.
Very nice.
So it allows me to use those words as a funnel through which I make decisions.
Yeah. A really cool exercise is to, once you've identified your values, to just look back on the last, say, 6 months of your life. How does that show up in your life? How does the value of joy show up, Madison? Or how does the value of impact show up?
Yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, adventure is one of my biggest ones. And it was in a job, I was in a job before this where it didn't allow me to have the adventurous life that I wanted. And once I became clear on those values, I knew I had to make a job change, because I knew how important having adventure and having authentic connection with people was to me. And so I am happier than I've ever been because I made decisions through my values. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to give you probably 5 to 8 minutes to go through and to define what each of those words mean to you. For example, like we said, connection and community may mean 2 different things to me. We both have impact. Laura and I both have impact. That word may mean something different to each of us. For example, joy. Joy was my grandmother's middle name. That word means family to me. That means community. That means love. Whereas somebody else may not have that same meaning to that word. So what we're going to do next is we're going to answer these questions and really define what they mean to each one of you individually. So here are the questions right here. So you'll put the value and then you can answer them on whatever sheet of paper you're working on. But what does the value mean to you? Create the definition that is meaningful for you. And then how will you live this value? Describe how you will bring this value to life. We'll give you about 5 to 8 minutes. right, let's wrap things up. I know that this is an exercise that you can come back to and spend a lot more time on. So if you're not quite done, that is totally fine. I encourage you to spend as much time as you need to get clear on these things. But would anyone like to share maybe what one of their values is and why that value is important to them?
I will.
Perfect. I was like, I'm going to be really good like Jordan and just sit in the silence.
In full disclosure, I did My Free Life with Jordan in St. Louis last July.
Great.
And so I did this before, but it was interesting getting my book and revisiting what I
Awesome.
had thought then, because nothing has changed. I will say I haven't done a great job at keeping it in front of me as a reminder, so this is really good. But I chose value number 3 as peace, which means being kind to myself, among other things. Go to bed at night knowing I've had a productive and fruitful day.
I love that. Yeah, that's such an important, and I may have defined peace so differently than you. So, and the fact that you are revisiting it now and that the words are still the same shows that that really is truly a part of who you are, right? So, thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Anybody else?
I can share.
Awesome, thank you.
I think what was interesting was that there's certain words that are staples for me, like authenticity, adventure, freedom. But since I started at the beginning of the list, I landed on like abundance and balance as words that are just new for me to define since I named them this time. And I think what was interesting with balance is sort of what I would call the both and. Like I like both the stability and safety and the adventure and growth and freedom, right? The family and old community and the newness and the friendships and space for that, like having kind of both and like both rest and fun and play, but also achievement, growth, and like wanting to figure out how to integrate that part, like the health and the indulgence. Like, so that was a word that I think I was new to sort of name because it feels, I don't know, different for me to use in terms of my values. And maybe it's not my top value, but it's something I'm trying to integrate in this season.
Right. Right. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Jamie. And you're right. It is challenging to find the right balance in that. And you want one thing, but you also want the other, right? And so finding that balance, and that's a great way of using that word to filter your decisions through. What areas of my life am I not finding balance in, and how can I add more of this into my life so it feels more balanced, because I feel really heavy in this area right now. So well done, well said. Okay, so next we are going to, for a couple minutes, we're going to toss it back over to Laura, and we are going to go over a wheel that will help you identify and go back to how you can make sure that these values are showing up in your life. So, Laura.
Yeah, so this is a little hack that I've come up with. We've seen the Wheel of Life and a couple of things that Jordan teaches, but it's interesting when you take the Wheel of Life and we're going to overlay our values. So think about your top 5 values and go ahead and write each of those in one of the circles on this Wheel of Life. It does not matter where you start or which circle comes first, doesn't matter. Then I want you to think about your life currently. How well are you living out that value in your life? With a 0 being like, it is non-existent, y'all, I don't even know. And a 10 being, oh my gosh, I eat, sleep, breathe. This value is me in my life. Okay, if you look at the Wheel of Life, you've got 0s toward the middle and a 10 out closest. Go ahead and plot each of your values currently, where you're at, not where you want to be, where you're at now, and then connect the dots. And let's see what kind of a wheel you're currently living. Are you Mario Kart style and you're rocking and rolling? Or you got a little bit of a Flintstone wheel? Okay, take a couple minutes and then in the chat, I want you to put out if you're doing Flintstones or Mario Karts, okay? We'll give everyone about 1 more minute to pull out their numbers. And if you would do Madison and I a great favor and put it in the chat, just so we kind of see, right? The whole point of this exercise when we overlay the wheel of life is to understand, how am I showing up? How am I leading myself well, and the values that matter to me? We know that change goes through 3 phases, right? Awareness, ownership, and practice. This exercise is simply an awareness tool, right? If these are the 5 values that really matter to me and who I am, well, how am I living them out? If I'm rocking and rolling, awesome, lean in. How do I keep doing that? But maybe there's a value, maybe there's a section of your wheel that looks a little flat, you got a little flat tire happening. Okay, it is not the end of the world, right? This is your opportunity to say, huh, that value matters to me, and yet my life is not reflective of it. So, what can I do in the next, we'll say 30 days, to put a little air pressure in the tire, right? To add a little oomph to the wheel, you know? Or maybe your wheel is too small for the life that you're living. Michelle just put in, you're hovering mid-range. Okay, so you're hitting all 5 of them. That's awesome. Just maybe not to the extent that you want to. It's like you're driving down the road and instead of the real tire, you got the donut, right? Which we all know you can go where you want to go. You're just not going to get there very fast or last for very long. So it's simply an awareness. Anyone else want to share in the chat or take yourself off of mute? And what's your tire look like? All right, deep thinkers.
I will say, I think that your overall happiness depends on how well this balanced this wheel is. Because if these truly are our values, these are the things that bring us the most joy and the happiest. So Jordan will say, until you change something you do daily, you will never change your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I would invite you, as you reflect on your values and go into the week, put one thing in your daily habit that will put some air in one of these tires and make it a smoother wheel. So thank you guys for joining us today. We hope that this was helpful, and we will see you guys back next week for what part?
Habits.
Habits.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Bye, guys.